Today we're going to be talking about social studies and STEM. And this is our third in this series. If you did not see the parts 1 and 2, please go on over to community.godot.org and pull up parts 1 and 2. You can find those by going to the Documents tab in the Elementary STEM group, and there's a link there that will take you to those past presentations. In fact, there's a document there that you can download it so you can access the link. And it takes you to a page where they have all the presentations that have already been given this school year. Many different subjects, many different topics, lots of different wonderful resources and even lesson plans to help you, given by all the virtual specialists that are contributing to this project. So be sure and check that out. I'm Tracy Ingram, by the way, and I am a STEM and STEAM virtual specialist for the Georgia Department of Education. I'm also an elementary school teacher. So we're all in this together, working to make STEM and STEAM the best possible experience for our students, because we know that a STEM or STEAM approach is the best way to teach them what they need to know. Remember, STEM and STEAM are not a what, they're a how. It's how we weave together all the content areas in a rich and meaningful way so that the students don't forget what they learn. They're going to make connections to real life. They're going to be able to see why the math they're learning matters to their life, why the science matters, why the reading matters, why the writing matters, how they're going to be able to use all the things that you're teaching them in a way that means something to them, that makes sense to them, that they see a need for. We're going to give them problems to solve and questions to answer and hands-on experiences that they won't forget. And we're going to make sure that they're using their STEM or STEAM journals to document this process all along the way by writing about it, making lists, drawing plans, drawing sketches, and just writing about the entire experience. So it's going to be a rich and powerful thing. And here's just one more set of resources that you can use. The museums in the state of Georgia. We've talked about that in part 1 and part 2 of this series. There are many, many more museums in the state of Georgia than I ever realized. For just about anything you can think of, we have a museum for it somewhere. And there are lists of those that also that list is going under the Documents tab in our Elementary STEM group. You can go and click on those. Remember, you got to download the document first, and you can use those links. And it just expands out into these fantastic lists of museums on different topics across our state. And they have been working very hard to make virtual field trip opportunities, virtual tours, and tons of online resources, activities, and lesson plans available to all the educators across Georgia. So be sure you check them out. Now, today, our focus is going to be on one in particular. We're going to be talking about the Jimmy Carter National Historic Site. We also are going to look into some other resources, but that's our kind of our museum we're thinking about today. So let's take a look. You can go to jimmycartereducation.org and you will find an amazing amount of resources. It just expands out like a web. Each thing you click on takes you to more, which takes you to more, which takes you to more. They have everything from videos, primary source images, lesson plans, PowerPoint presentations, books. I mean, just so many things that are available there for you. And these are things that are easily adaptable for any grade level from pre-K on up through high school. Of course, this presentation is designed for elementary teachers, but they have things for our older students as well. Now, if you would like to have a virtual tour, virtual field trip scheduled, you're going to need to email this email address right here. So make sure, go ahead and write that down. And you can find it on their website, but it's easier to just go ahead and write this down. If you'll go ahead and note that, because you're not going to want to miss it. You're going to want to email her and set up a virtual tour. So when you get that done, you can visit the jimmycartereducation.org site, and it looks like this. Now, up at the top, you see you've got lots of different choices. The things I'm going to be talking about today are found under this Pre-K through 5th Curriculum Resources tab. They have so many activities. And there were just a few that to me just immediately stood out and went together in a way that I could see it easily adaptable for any elementary age group. Because whether you have them work more independently or whether you have them doing something that you're facilitating with the whole class as a group activity, or maybe even you're pulling small groups and facilitating that in small groups, these are things that can be adapted and adjusted. And they just sort of seem to me like they went really well together. So I've pulled out just about 3 that I want to highlight, but trust me, there are so many things here. We could be here all day talking about it. When you go to that tab, one of the things that you'll see is this page with all these little buttons on it. And each button opens up another site, starts that whole web I was talking about that just keeps going. Now, for today's purposes, I chose 3 different ones. The Student Discovery Journal, which is here. The Analyze a Historical Photo activity, which is here, and the Secret Life of Objects activity, which is here. Any one of which is fantastic on its own, but I could just see a way that these could kind of go together into a whole in-depth experience that you could give your students in your classroom. Now, you're going to want to notice, though, look at all these different tabs. There, like this Full Steam Ahead, this has all their STEAM project plans there. And a lot of these, they have several that are focused on 2nd grade, but again, it's adaptable. It's adaptable for the different grade levels. There's just so much going on here, guys. You really, you just have to dig in to believe it. But so it's at jimmycartereducation.org, and then you will have clicked on the Pre-K through 5th Curriculum Resources tab, and that takes you here. Now, the first activity I want to talk about is this Analyze a Photo. So they're going to give you primary source images, these historic photos for students to look at. Now, you could just throw that image up on your Promethean board, your whiteboard, and have the students really analyze this image. If your students are really young and they can't do this level of writing, it's something you can put up and discuss. You can get a piece of chart paper and you can write down what they say. Work together to analyze this if they're not ready for this level of writing. Now, the next 5 slides come from the Analyze a Photo activity. This just shows you, and this is a printable, of course. You can print this out. These things pull up as a PDF, and you just print it out and use it in your classroom. I would arrange that virtual tour, that virtual field trip first. Go ahead and experience that with your students. And after you've done that, then you can begin these activities. It will really make sense to them. They're going to look at the picture and they're going to list off, what do they see that's a living thing? What do they see that's an object? What activities do they think are happening here? What's going on? And then you're going to list 3 things that you could infer or guess from this photograph. What are you learning? What are you thinking just based on what you see? And then the second page for their analyzing this, they write down questions the photograph raises in their mind. And then they're going to compare things from this photograph to things in their own life. How is it the same? How is it different? Describe the photograph using details from your observation. You're going to get into those great describing words as they write. and really noticing detail. And those observation skills are incredibly important to our boys and girls. So the more we can encourage them to really notice the little details of things, the better they're going to be at problem solving. Because you can't solve a problem if you haven't first figured out what's going on, what the details are. Here's one of the images. Here's another one. And then there's the third one. So this can be a very powerful activity for any grade level. You really dig into this discussion. Make them notice what's happening in the background. What's going on all around here. Then the second activity, and I'm going to show you in a minute how these all pull together. The second activity is called The Secret Life of Objects. And the following group of slides show pages from the Jimmy Carter National Historic Site's Secret Life of Objects activity. It's found under the pre-K through 5th curriculum resources. It may be a little dark here for you to see, but this is a picture of an anvil. Most of you probably know what an anvil is. Students probably won't. What do you think it is? How do you think the object feels? Circle these describing words for how it feels. What do you think the object was used for? Write 3 words that describe the object. What would this object say if it can talk? What do you think? Who do you think would have used this object? So those are really great steps for making them think deeply, look closely at something. Here's another object. You can see this one a little better, a little bit brighter picture. Here's another one. And another one. And I'm guessing that probably a whole lot of us don't know what some of these things are. So you may be looking at these images and wondering, what is this? What would it have been used for? They're very interesting. There's lots of detail and texture, a lot of discussion that can come. Easily adaptable for all age groups, just depending on the way you approach it. Now, the cool thing is, and I really appreciate this, I'm sure you do too, they added a key at the end. So it tells you what they are, because you probably don't know. And this lets you know what those things are as you're discussing them with your students. All right, then the third activity that I want to take all these activities and put them together as a part of a larger experience for our students. And this third one is their student discovery journal. Now, the next 7 slides are showing some of the activities found in that discovery journal, but it's not all. There are more things in the discovery journal. I just put some for the interest of time, but you can look up the whole thing easily. So this is a picture of Jimmy Carter when he was a young boy on the farm. Compare your life to Jimmy Carter's when he was a child in the 1930s. They can draw a picture if they're not ready to write about it yet, or they can actually write out the words. They have Georgia standards down here. Again, guys, we are really smart professionals and we can adapt these things for different grade levels. So this is circling items that would have been in Jimmy Carter's childhood home in 1928. It'll help them kind of get a better understanding of the differences between the technology that was available in 1928 as opposed to today. What's the difference in what was in their home, what's in their home now, and what was in the home in 1928? Now, you can look at these objects that were found on the farm, on the Carter farm, and explain how force is used to make them work. What are they? What are they doing? What is this technology accomplishing? What problem is it solving? But how is force used to make it work? All of these things require some type of force. And then you've got the Carter store price list, and you take a look at how people had items that they needed for sale in the Carter family store, because it was a long way at that time with the type of transportation they had for people to go into planes. And so the Carter family opened a store. And you can take a look at these math word problems. Well, you can adapt this and make some that are much more difficult for your level of students, or you can make it much simpler if you've got little guys. Now, you might take bread costs 5 cents per loaf, take some pennies or some little plastic markers and let them count out 5 pennies. You can adapt this for different age groups. And here's a great comparison between a photo of Jimmy Carter's classroom when he was a student at Plains High School. That was his high school classroom. And then look at an average classroom today. Talk about the differences. Also, I love this. It said one of his favorite hobbies is painting. He likes to paint pictures about things that are special to him, like his favorite places, his family members, and nature. Well, here's a favorite place, here's a family member, and here's nature. Well, now here the child can draw a picture of something that's special to them, which I think is wonderful. Creating that connection between the student, their assignment they're being given, and that connection to themselves, to their life, the real world that they can understand. And then this talks about how President Carter worked for peace and human rights and a better quality of life. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. How can we help others at home or at school? Here's some pictures of things he did to help others. What can we do to help others? No matter how old we are, no matter where we live, no matter what our background is, no matter what we have available, we can find a way to help others. There's always somebody who needs us in some way. How can we do that? What can we do for other people? Maybe even if we can do nothing else today, but go out and share the biggest smile we can with somebody who looks sad. There is something we can do. So we can draw a picture and write about how we can help others at home or at school. So I love those 3 activities so much. And it really makes me think about technology. And we really want to teach our students what is technology, because it may not be what you think, and it may not even be what some of the teachers think. Britannica.com defines technology as the application of scientific knowledge to the practical aims of human life. The practical aims of human life. Using scientific knowledge for the practical aims of human life. That's technology. It's solving problems. It's finding a way to make things easier or to make some things possible that weren't even possible before. Technology is what we get when we create, design, invent things to make our dreams possible. Technology solves the problems we have in everyday life. Technology makes it possible for us to do new things we couldn't do before. And there's a great connection to history as we think about what technology really is. Technology is a pencil, an umbrella, Velcro. What can we think of to solve a problem or make something we do every day a little bit easier? So one STEAM project suggestion would be, number 1, get out our STEM journals to write and draw about our thinking throughout this entire project. Number 2, take a virtual tour of the Jimmy Carter National Historic Site. And you know, before we go any further, let me show you this. A STEAM journal can be a composition book. It can be a 2-pocket folder. It can be a sketch pad. It can be a stack of notebook paper that you staple in the corner, or printer paper that you staple in the corner. It can be construction paper that you staple together and let them make their own book. It can be whatever you have. Use what you've got on hand and just get something that is set aside for them to document their thinking and their planning, their designing, their whole engineering design process, and they're writing about it, they're reflecting on it, they're making lists. You need all that documented in these STEAM journals. So you get those out. You take a virtual tour of the Jimmy Carter National Historic Site. Then you use those 3 activities we just went over: analyze a photo, secret life of objects, and discovery journal activities. Adapt it for your students. Whole group, small group, independent, whatever works best for you. Writing about it, drawing pictures if you can't write, having the teacher do the writing and the drawing if they're not able to do that. Whatever works best for you. It's getting their mind working, getting them questioning, getting them thinking, getting them noticing details. That's what's crucial. However you need to get them there for whatever their age is, just get them there. Thinking, noticing details, questioning, 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 questioning. That's what it's all about. Then you want to ask students to define the word technology and then discuss what it really means. First, just ask them what they think it is. And they're probably going to say something like a computer or a cell phone. But then you need to help them understand what it really is. It's more than that. And then discuss the technology seen in the historic photos, because they probably initially don't think there is any technology in the historic photos. Then you need to list and discuss what we may struggle with each day, or what problems we see that we could come up with a technology designed to improve those struggles or problems. And it's going to be different for every kid possibly, but come up with what they can think of that could be improved. Make a sketch of the design for your technology. Maybe you're improving an existing technology instead of creating a whole new one, or maybe you are coming up with something entirely new. But they're going to make a sketch of that in their STEM or STEAM journal. You want to make sure they label the sketch so that we know what each part is and what purpose it serves in the design. And then you want to also make sure in that design, if it's age appropriate, ability appropriate, have them put measurements, real measurements. How long does this need to be if it's going to be functional and work well? So on and so forth. Then you can have them make a model of their design, a prototype of their design. They can do something as simple as taking construction paper or whatever you have on hand, cutting it and assembling it to try to build a sort of a model, just to show people a 3D visual of what they have in their mind. Or if you've got clay, they can use that. Use whatever means you have available to create a model. If you have access to computers, I strongly encourage you to go to the Tinkercad website. It's just Tinkercad. And that is a free program. It works beautifully on Chromebooks. Students can access it from any computer at home or at school. You can set up classes in there. You put your students in the classes and you're able to see what they're designing. Now that gives them, they can click on the Learn tab up in the top right, and then it'll take them to what's called starters. I would have them do the starters first because they're really simple. Guys, my kindergartners do this, okay? I'm telling you, my kindergartners do it. My second graders have been designing and printing things on our 3D printer. You don't have to have a 3D printer. This is still a fantastic tool, even if you don't have a printer. They get in there, they do those little starters, they learn how to drag different shapes and objects onto the work plane and build and construct these beautiful models of what they're trying to design. And even the littlest guys can do it. They also have a code blocks feature where they can go in there and build something using coding instead of just the design. You can do 3D design or you can do the coding to build something. That's just up to you. But it's a fantastic way to let them come up with a digital model or representation of what they're trying to design. And it lets them go in and they're gonna click in the boxes and change the measurement numbers, change the size and dimensions of it. It's fantastic, I'm telling you. If you haven't used Tinkercad yet, you need to check that out. They have some wonderful lesson plans already created for about 3rd grade and up. But then the little starters, they have starters and lessons and projects that are good from the littlest guys on up, and then very specific lesson plans for the 3rd grade and up. But it's a great way to develop those design representations. So check out Tinkercad. Make sure that your students are using the engineering design process throughout this whole thing. Very young students can do this in smaller teacher-facilitated groups or as a whole class if this is their first time working through the design process. You want to make sure that you teach them the power of the word yet. I call it the magic word yet, because they may not be able to get things to turn out like they want them to the first time, and that's something to really celebrate because it's a fantastic learning moment. But I always just help them remember, okay, we didn't get it like we wanted to, but we just didn't get there yet. Yet is a powerful word. Yet means we have things to look forward to. Yet means we have things to be excited about. We have more to do. This is great. I'm so glad it didn't work the first time because now we get to go back and try again. I mean, it's okay. We're just going to learn from our mistakes and move forward. We never give up. Now, this is something I've mentioned several times in past presentations. But if you dig into this project I just outlined and you love it, or you want to do it, but somehow you feel like what you're trying to cover in your classroom right now needs some different primary source images, go to the Library of Congress website. It's just loc.gov, and then you've got the full address is there on the screen to take you specifically to the teacher's resources. I was fortunate enough a few years ago to go and spend a week at the Library of Congress at a teacher institute. And I had no idea before that really what they do offer for us, how much is on their website for resources, lesson plans, classroom materials, professional development opportunities. All these things are free. And it's amazing what they have put together for us. So whatever your class is currently studying, you can search for that topic, and they have already curated wonderful sets of primary source images on those topics for you. It'll just be pulled together already in a set. And all you have to do is download it and use it, pull them up on your Promethean. It's fantastic. So whatever it is you're looking for, go and do a search. Now this is one, let me go back. So here's where you initially land. If you go to this web address right here, you're initially going to land here. And now the next slide is going to show you, and of course, if you haven't worked with primary sources before and you're kind of wanting to make sure you understand what that is, they have a little tab for that. But if you click on classroom materials, you're going to go here. Now, when you get to classroom materials, you're going to see these teacher in residence program opportunities, partner programs, all these wonderful links that'll take you further and further into what's available for you. You can also go here, this is where it is. This got us there. Classroom materials, here we go. Classroom materials, click here to get your primary source sets. Click here to get the lesson plans. Wonderful lesson plans have already been done for you. And here are presentations that you can even use. So, I mean, it's a fantastic resource. Whatever it is you're working on, they've got something for you, I promise. And it doesn't matter what your age level is. They'll have something that'll be interesting to you and your students. Another thing that I just had to mention that might be of use to you in tying into all these wonderful social studies topics, but any of your other topics as well. They have at loc.gov/everyday-mysteries. It's fun science facts from the Library of Congress. So it's questions and phenomena, and they have them organized by category. They have categories for technology, they have categories for history, they have categories for biology, for botany. The zoology ones, oh my goodness, the fun you will have. I mean, you can just go on, and it all is there to make them question and think deeply, try to come up with the answers, and then they get to find out what the truth is about these wonderful questions. Like, did you ever wonder why a camel has a hump? I mean, if you can really tell the weather by listening to the chirp of a cricket, it just goes on and on. So there's fantastic things there. And if you look through the categories, you're going to find some things that tie to your social studies standards and all your other content areas as well. So be sure to check that out. Now, our next sort of secret special surprise that I'm so excited about, the wonderful folks at Pleasant Grove Elementary School have been so generous and so kind. They have shared with us the document they put together for their social studies and STEM connections at their school. And they have worked so hard on this, and I just think it's the sweetest thing that they just handed it to the rest of us. So they have broken out by each grade level how they can tie social studies standards to the projects they're working on for STEM and STEAM. So it's all very detailed here, and I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but you can take a look. I just wanted you to kind of see what it looks like. And then you'll see they, like, first and fifth grade are sort of related. And so they get into the details here with first grade, and then they have another bit at the end that gives you more detail for fifth. It tells you what the focus is for each grade level, the standards that they're working on. Your second grade, geographical connections. Third grade, investigating different regions, how far they are from the equator, and access climate and weather changes in each of these regions. I mean, it's very detailed, and it's full of fantastic ideas and how they're going to tie this all together. Here's fourth grade. The physical geography of colonies help determine economic activity. Research what settlers grew during this time span, and look at what we're growing in our own outdoor classroom area, what soil will work best and why. Discuss and tie what students worked with in third grade in regard to compost and positive effects of using compost soil. Why is this important? So they're tying it to their everyday life, experiences they've had in the past, and then they're digging deeper moving forward. You've got fifth grade here, looking at inventors and new inventions at the turn of the century. And it really digs into how they're going to make that work. We're talking about the invention of the tractor. We're talking about the Dust Bowl. We're talking about lots of things here. Look at how does this historical phenomena compare to current concerns with unemployment and overproduction of produce and the idea of scarcity of certain products due to COVID-19. This is so relevant to these students' everyday life. And it's absolutely fantastic and generous of them, let me go back, to have shared this. So I really have to give a huge thank you and shout out to Pleasant Grove Elementary for sharing this document with all of us. You will find this document under the Documents tab in the Elementary STEM STEAM group at community.godot.org. Now, I want to remind you, please visit community.godot.org. You need to set up your account. You may have come across this video if someone shared a link with you. Maybe you're not sure where they're getting all this. So you're going to go to that website. You're going to set up your account. You need to join the groups that are relevant to you: math, science, social studies, and of course, STEM and STEAM. Whatever groups speak to you, go ahead and join those. Subscribe to groups to be notified when new materials posted. Take part in discussion forums, post questions and comments, collaborate with educators from across the state, learn new things, be inspired, be inspiring, and have fun. This platform, this new community, it is brand new. It's kind of still in its infancy, but it's growing directly related to the comments that are received from you. What do you need? What do you want to be added to this community? What do you want to see changed about the community? Put those comments on there. They're listening. They're listening and they're developing it. It is continually growing. It is continually improving, and it's being made for you in the way that you want it to be, to the best of their ability. So please share. Please tell your friends and neighbors to join the group, and let us know what you need to see there, that what we can change, because it's all about you. It's all about helping you help our boys and girls. And I know that's what you get up for every day. And I thank you for that. I thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate you being here. Be sure and post any comments and questions, and we will answer them to the best of our ability. Thanks again, and you guys have a great day.